Welcome everybody to our webinar tonight. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you to this webinar that we've entitled Understanding the Business of Football. And we are honored to have as our guest Juan De Dios Crespo. He's someone that basically needs no introduction, but I'll try to do my best and give a brief overview as to who our guest is tonight. Juan De Dios is one of the most renowned football and sports lawyers across the globe. He's the CEO of Ruiz Huerta and Crespo Lawyers. And I mean, we could spend the whole hour that we're going to be here together talking about the players, the clubs, the organizations he's represented, and he's been having under his clients' portfolio. But I can tell you that he's worked with the best. He continues to work with the best. And for us at SBI, it was an absolute honor when he, agreed to do this session with us tonight. So I won't take much time because his time is golden, and we want to take advantage to have as much of an opportunity to learn from him tonight. So I'll turn it over to him briefly. But Juan De Dios, just wanted to give you the official welcome and say that we're delighted to have you here tonight.
Thank you very much, Diego. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. I just have an issue here. I see that 3 or 4 of the attendees have no chance to hear, so I don't know if there's a technical problem or not. There are people that are listening perfectly, and they are solved. Okay, it's solved. It means that
it's been solved.
Okay.
Yeah, usually it's a connection and a bandwidth issue. So hopefully you guys have a strong connection so that you can listen in. In any case, this is a webinar that will be recorded. So for those that can't be here tonight, we will be sharing that with you at a later date. Very, very briefly as to who we are at SBR, for those of you that may not know us. We're an institute based in Barcelona. We offer many different online courses around the business of football. And we've been honored to have over 3,500 students from over 90 countries in all this time that we've been running our master's program and the different courses that we deliver. And we've also been very proud to work and collaborate with some of the top organizations in football. And now our alumni, we have a wide network, which we're very proud of, are working in many of the top clubs and organizations in football. So that's about us, but tonight is not about us. Tonight is about you, the value that you're going to get from our guest tonight, and a brief overview of what we're going to cover tonight. We've divided this webinar into 3 segments. The first part, we're going to talk about the business of football and provide a general understanding from someone like Juan De Dios, who's going to share his input. Then we're going to look briefly at some of the trends that are happening in football today, current and future. And then finally, we're going to share a few tips for those that may be starting and wanting to start a career in football. After that, we'll open it up for a Q&A session. So Juan De Dios, I've talked too much. The topics that we wanted to cover tonight around the business of football are here on screen. So perhaps we can start with the first one around the structure of football clubs. You've worked with a lot of clubs yourself. So can you share with us a little bit on that? And then if you want to talk about some of the others, or I'll be jumping in to moderate.
Okay, thank you very much, Leo. Here we have to make a big difference between old times and new times. When I mean old, is not 100 years ago, it's just 15, 20 years ago and now. And why? And I'm not going to say too much about your SBI, but we have to understand that SBI and other sports institutes are very much needed. Why? Why? Because when I started this 40 years ago, a long time, there were no structure at all. I remember that there were no lawyers, in-house lawyers. There were no managers. There were no IA or digitalization managers, no one. And now, today, it's very much appreciated that we have those kind of masters and seminars. Why? Because the clubs are different. They've changed everything. Lawyers are in-house. There are external lawyers too. There are scouting, internal and external. There are sport director, internal, external. They have digital managers also. Tokenization of the players. Something that it was not even in the mind of anyone 15 years ago. we are talking about e-sport. Do we need an e-sport in football? Yes, there are leagues like the Turkish league with the very big clubs like Galatasaray, Besiktas, and Fenerbahce. They have e-sport that are linked to the e-sport of football, to the sport of football. They have the same shirt, etc. So the structure has dramatically changed from a very, very minor professionalism years ago to an excellent professionalism right now. There's still gaps to try to avoid, but I think that we are on a very good path to go through this. And the listener, the attendees here, the participant, are very much welcome if they are not already into the world of football to understand they are needed. Professionalism is needed, young blood is needed, and knowledge of new technologies is needed. Metaverse, for instance, I have signed with one of my colleagues and small company a contract with La Liga for this. We have also signed with other clubs for organization of players and so on, so on. So it's not only the whole structure of any company, lawyer, CFO, CEO, digital manager, even now as a model, but the new technologies, the new life in sport in general, in football in particular, is there, already there, and we need you. We need you. I'm not going to ask you to come to the army like in Uncle Sam. We need you and to go. No, but we need you in football. Really, frankly speaking, I rather prefer to have people that are very much prepared, very well prepared, than not having that. It's not going to harm me at all. Please be aware. Football is open. Market football is open, and don't be ashamed and don't be shy. You need to be there as soon as possible because you are much needed. So structure, yes, it is. Their structure much more than 50 years ago, but right now they are still growing, and institutes like yours and attendees and participants like the one I'm sure that are listening to me are very much needed.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and every club has a different structure, and obviously we won't get into the details of that tonight because there's so much to cover, but you're absolutely right in that sense. Now, I mean, I know we have a lot of topics to cover, and we're going to try to get as much in this hour so we can benefit from your knowledge, Juan De Dios. So moving on to our next topic here, I mean, one of the issues right now is that the agents and the role of the agent has been transforming a lot since 2015, and now with the recent changes that FIFA has put in place. So can you tell us, I mean, a lot of the people that are listening tonight probably also are interested in somehow going towards the path of agents. So can you tell us where are we now and what is the current situation with agents?
Okay, first come to very, very much important point. Do we need agents in football? The answer from myself is yes. The pity is that FIFA thinks that they are not welcome, but they don't understand that agents are necessary in the market. Not only our market, it's necessary for everything, to sell furniture or to sell tiles or to sell players. And we have to be very much clear. We sell players. I mean, agents sell players, sell the rights of the player, but they sell players. So they need to be there to help clubs in one sense, because they are looking for the player needed by the club, and the other sense, vice versa, also helping the players to sign a contract. It's not anymore just a labor contract, it's image rights contract, it's metaverse contract, it's everything. So yes, agents are needed. FIFA made a mistake in 2015 when they just get rid of the agents and they make them become intermediaries, not anymore in the hands of FIFA, but in the hands of the national federations. And when you have 208 in 11 federations, you might have a problem because there are going to be 211 different regulations, even though there was a core by FIFA, but then regulations were different. And whenever you had a case in one place, you have to go to national court, you have to go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport because it was impossible to go to FIFA. FIFA made a mistake and they realized 2 years after, 2017, that the mistake was made. And why they realized that? Because when it was forbidden, not only the agent, but also the TPO, and TPI. Third-party ownership, third-party investment, depending on what you want to impress, is third-party ownership when you're from FIFA, third-party investment when you're outside FIFA, because you invest, but this is just the matter of the way to talk about it, which is important. The way you disclose things and the way you think that is ownership or investment is different. So whenever they did that, on the same year, 2015, agents became owners of clubs. Why? Because they were not anymore agents, they were intermediaries, and in the meantime, they were not even part of the structure of football. They were just ousted from football in the sense that they were not anymore investing in football, because most of the investors were agents in order to help clubs. And in the meantime, they had, well, I help you, giving you X million, and in the meantime, you are going to give me 50% of the rights of this player. This was forbidden. TPO, TPI are still forbidden. And a lot of agents bought clubs. And right now, we have clubs in the hand of agents, and of course, clubs in the hand of groups like City Group, etc. But agents were there. So in 2017, they just had the idea that it was a mistake. They tried on 2019 to change it, and they included the lawyers, and they said the lawyers should have a maximum fee. And of course, we just raise our hand and say, you don't have the right. We are free to do whatever we want on terms of fees. It's just the national law we will have to follow. So they forgot about that. And finally, in the 22nd of December 22, they approved the new regulations. You're going to enforce from the 1st of October 2023. But those regulations were challenged in Germany, in Spain, in England, in Brazil, in Argentina, just to show you 5 big markets. In Germany, they stopped the regulations by a court in Germany. And that case went to the European Court of Justice. And now it's still pending. We are waiting for a decision by the end of this year, more or less, or the beginning of next year. On what? Mostly on the cap. I'm not going to explain the cap because it's a bit complicated, but let's say that it was reduced to 3 or to 6%. Only a 10% was agreed on the agent of the selling club, which is a nonsense. Just let me say that, because if you sell a player for 30 million and you're the agent of the selling club, you get 10%, 3 million. And if you are the agent of the player, you will get 3% of the contract. Not on the selling contract, the transfer contract, but on the contract of the player. Let's say they has a good contract, 4 years and 4 million per year. It's a good contract, 60 million. Do the calculation of 3%. It won't be the 3 million that the other is getting. So how FIFA has done that, why they have done that, we don't know. In England, an FA arbitration just stopped this, so there's no cap in England. In Spain, a court say that tournament is suspended. The same in Brazil and the same in Argentina. So now we are just stopped, and everyone is waiting for the final decision of the European Court of Justice. We'll see what's going on, but in my opinion, there will be necessarily, I think, the annulation of this cap by the European Court of Justice, and FIFA will have to accept that there's no cap anymore, or at least there's just going to be, let's say, a cap which is up to the national country to do that or not. For instance, in France, there's a 10% maximum cap. It's mandatory, it's the law, it's public policy. So they have to follow that. And even if FIFA said the 3%, there's no way that they're going to be 3%. So I think that what the European countries will say that, look, FIFA, you can just recommend something, but let the national countries to decide on the cap. So right now, I know that a lot of young people want to be agent, and I just encourage them to be agent. Being an agent is not something wrong. It's not a nasty thing if you are a good agent, but the same if you are a good player, the same if you're a good coach, the same if you're a good lawyer, the same if you're a good CEO of a sport institute. You have to be nice and professional. That's all. Honor your profession. So don't be ashamed and about being an agent. I think the agents are, and I say my clients, 50% of my clients are agents. So why not? And by the agents, you get through the players, you get through the clubs, etc. So agents are necessary. Agents are going to be necessary for the future too, and FIFA won't stop them. Now, be careful one thing. You have to be an agent recognized by FIFA, meaning that you have to pass an exam. This is not something that the European Court of Justice is going to suspend or to terminate. No, I think that is good to have an exam, to have a best play. You know what happened the other day in Spain? In Spain, we had in May, 22nd of May, a mistake, an error of Wi-Fi, but at the end, the exam was passed, and only, if I don't remember bad, only 15% of the participants, of the attendees, went through that and have an approval of their exam. The rest were not, so it's not an easy exam. So yes, we are now currently waiting for the decision, but in the meantime, if you want to be an agent, go for the exam, which is going to be the next one in all the countries next November.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's pretty clear to see how the evolution of the role of the agent has come about. And of course, as you said, there's exams that are held twice a year. We actually at SBI help some people that are looking to study to pass the exams. If you want more information, we can obviously be in touch. But another topic that sometimes a lot of people around the business of football are not that aware of, or maybe don't understand, is doping in football. So can you share a little bit of your insight so people that maybe are not as familiar with this topic understand why it's important to know about it?
Well, years ago when I started this, nobody was thinking about doping in football. It was a huge story when they said that Juventus, the Juventus of Torino, had the issue with some product that it was taking. It was not a forbidden product at that moment. It was forbidden after that. But nobody was thinking about sport-related doping in football, and it was just cycling, athletics, and so on. But in the last years, the last 6-7 years, I had several cases. I'm not meaning one or two, several cases of doping. Mostly, all young people, very young, are players of a certain age already. So in the middle, it seems that people are becoming more professional, but young people, young players of 17, 18, 19, 21, have cases in which they have just followed the bad example. And the key issue here is for people that are working as agent, the family, and of course the clubs too. They don't have to forget that they are young people with too much time and too much money. So it's easy to just drop and fall. You have people there, I mean, clubs, family, agents, to help, lawyers too, to explain the problem. For instance, if you take something which is forbidden, you can have 2 years sanction, sometimes 4 years sanction. And it depends when you take it or not during the competition or out competition. So let's say that a young player is taking some marijuana. I say, okay, it's nothing. Yes, it is. You take it on competition, and depending on which country you are, you can get a very high sanction. In France, you can get 2 years. In Spain, you can get 3 months to 2 years. In the States, maybe nothing. But you have to prepare yourself and to understand, one, in which country you are, depending on which country you're going to be one or another. Two, that even if you have a small sanction, there's some big brother there waiting for you called WADA, the anti-doping agency, World Anti-Doping Agency, and it's there, and they can have the chance to appeal the national decision to the CAS, the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So you're never free. Even if you're winning a case at home, you might have this big brother on you and going to the CAS on appeal. So education of the players is a must. Two, there's nothing in football in doping. Yes, it is. There are cases of doping. So football is not free of doping. So education outside, education inside, and taking care of where you are, which country, what kind of product, what kind of doping, what kind of system, and if you have any doubt, ask first the doctor of the club, your own doctor. Don't go to the pharmacy. It happened to me some weeks ago. A guy went to the pharmacy, and the guy from the pharmacy is not an expert in sports law, he's not an expert in doping, and he gave him something which was wrong because he was in the list of products that are forbidden. So yes, doping is an issue, a big one, and I think that at least I want the attendants, the participants to understand that it's not something is hidden there, it's there, and it will be there forever, even though FIFA has a special list of products different from the one of WADA, but it still exists. So be careful.
Definitely an interesting topic to learn more about. Obviously, we're covering a lot of subjects in a short amount of time, so this is to give you some nuggets, but we will try and cover as much as possible tonight. The last point in this first segment, Juan De Dios, is of course Saudi Arabia. We've all seen many players transfer to the Saudi league and have a big impact. Even this recent transfer window, we've heard of some players moving on to the Saudi market. So can you tell us, where are we at now with the Saudi football, and where do you see it going in the future?
Okay, so there's one here, Said, was from Saudi Arabia. I was the lawyer of Ittihad when Ittihad was the worst club in the world in terms of FIFA. They had 30 or 40 cases per year against them for non-payment of salaries, for sacking players, for sacking coaches, etc. 1 year I have 5 coaches in 1 year, and with the coaches they were also the assistants. So they said that they have 20 cases in 1 year only for those 5 coaches. But after some years, the government of Saudi Arabia has decided, look, this is not possible. We need to be something else. We can't be always in the news, or at least in the football news. So I need absolutely to change that. And they changed that. They changed that by first giving the money to clubs. I'm not going to explain exactly the structure, but this is a very much ambitious approach to develop the infrastructure of football, not only with players, but also with female football in Saudi, yes, for the stadiums too, and the league system. They have just copycat a lot of the systems in Europe, like the financial fair play, etc. They have also a lot of people coming from abroad, helping them. The head of legal is from Netherlands, for instance. So they had a wish to change everything. The investment is going to impact. And the first impact is not only the impact that they had to do whenever they want to change the structure in investing in stadiums, investing in female football, in the regulation, but also investing in one thing, in attracting players. Why? Because when you attract players, you attract sponsors, you attract the fans, and you are, in a sense, also enhancing the football. But it's not only that. The whole building football from scratch in Saudi is that. It's not only players. I had the chance to do that last week or this week. I don't remember. It was last weekend, but he signed last Monday, Tuesday. My client Nacho from Real Madrid. And there's also one question: why players like Neymar, Ronaldo, Nacho are going there? I mean, when you're as old as Ronaldo or Nacho, I think that you have the possibility to end your career by getting more money and helping, in the meantime, this new building of the Saudi football. Why not? I might not be in the same position if I was the lawyer of a 20 years old player. Maybe I would say, look, I rather prefer you to go to a second division in Greece and then to jump to first division in Italy and then to Spain. And then when you're older, you go to Saudi. But Saudi is changing. So I think that in the next future, and mostly when we have the World Cup, still 10 years, the World Cup, from today to the World Cup, we'll have new blood coming, not only from abroad, but also from the national teams, young teams. And the idea was to try to build from scratch a new structure, but not based only in money. Remember what happened with China years ago. We paid 40 million for a player, 20 million for a player. And then the government just said, well, you can't do that. And he just minimized that to a maximum of 6 million for a transfer, etc. So this is different. They are not building from the top, they are building from the scratch. But of course, they have to show the fans, the sponsor, the big names are coming. That's why the captain of the team of Real Madrid, the one who just had the Champions League Cup in his hands, is there. That's why Neymar is there. That's why Ronaldo is there too.
Yes, here at SBI, we've had numerous students from Saudi Arabia, so it'll be very interesting to continue learning about that moving forward. But very interesting topic. So let's move on to our next segment, which is around the current and future trends in football. So, Juan De Dios, one of the topics that we hear about constantly is the European Super League. Where are we with that? And again, what's your opinion as to where you think this is going?
Okay, so I wrote dozen articles on this in several languages, so maybe they can go to my website and look at that, because this is something just for the Super League, I will need a couple of hours. But that said, I'm going to be a couple of minutes or a bit more, because those three cases are much important. One of them, Super League, for me is the least important one. The least important one. Why is the least important one? Because Super League is already dead, in my opinion, my humble opinion. I was the lawyer of a club around 20 years ago with the Super League system. And the Super League was in the hand of the late Berlusconi, the Prime Minister of Italy, and also the owner of AC Milan. He had the idea of this Super League. And some clubs were there, and at the end, they used that idea of the Super League to get more money from UEFA and to change the system of the Champions League at that time. So at the end, it was just a try to have more money, right? That's clear. But the first shot, and then from time to time, there were things coming on, in and on, back and forth, asking me for reports, until we have the famous Sunday night in which the president, Mr. Perez, went to a small TV show to say that we have launched the Super League. Wow. I can't explain all the failures of the Super League, all the failures of UEFA, because they tried to sanction something which was not even in force at the moment, so they have to retrieve after that and to go back and not sanction the clubs. It was a mistake. In the meantime, there was somebody who was willing to put the money, Morgan, the bank, and whenever after launching of this Sunday evening, the day after, all the fans of all the clubs that were in England supporting the Super League went through the streets and went to the clubs and said, we don't want the Super League. We want football to be our football. We are Liverpool fans who want to play against Everton. We want West Ham fans who want to play against Chelsea, etc., etc. So this crumbled all the building of Super League. Without the English teams, was nothing. There were only 4 clubs remaining, then only 3, then now only 2, Real Madrid and Barcelona. It's true that the 31st of December last year, we have a decision by the Court of Justice saying that, look, you FIFA, you UEFA, don't be too tough. You need to open your door. You need to do this and that and that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But in the meantime, that decision of the Court of Justice on the 1st of December said, look, you should always have to follow a sporting criteria to have a competition. Then this decision came back to the Spanish court, because I'm not going to lecture you about the European Court of Justice and the way European law is, but when you go to a court in a national country of EU, then you can have the idea to ask, or the judge can have the idea to ask for what is the opinion of the European Court of Justice, first to an advocate general and then to the very same court. So that court gave the opinion, that opinion came back, the decision came back to the Spanish court, and the Spanish court said, yes, I follow the line of the European Court of Justice. You, FIFA and UEFA, should go by certain criteria that are not exactly the one you are using now, but, and this is black on white, she said, or he said, I don't remember if it was a judge or a lady or man, I don't remember, sorry, because I was not involved, I just read the decision, the sentence of this, and he said, the judge said, look, this is not a carte blanche for the European Super League, not at all. Not for this or for any other one. Stop. So now, if you have said that, what is next step? Next step is yesterday, they went to the parliament in Spain to explain the Super League system, because all the countries went to the European Court of Justice to blame the Super League not to follow exactly the sporting way of life, which is the European system, etc. It's not the American system, the European system, or the worldwide system, but not the North American system. So now the Super League is dead, I say, because I don't see how it can come back to life at all. Because if you have to follow sporting criteria, what are sporting criteria if now a third club like Girona, third in the Championship of Spain, won't be allowed if Super League was going to be launched in the first division of Super League? How it comes? No way. So, as I said, it should be 3 or 4 hours on this, but now, just to explain, it's not a winning case by the Super League. They did not win. They just had some good points, but at the end of the day, the Court of Justice and the judge in Spain say, we are not giving the floor, you're not carte blanche, you Super League, to launch any competition right now. So I would like to say another thing, but I think they are zombies right now. They are zombies. They don't know if we don't know if they are living or not. They are there, but in a cloud, in my opinion, legal opinion, and a personal opinion too.
Right, right. No, very interesting. By the way, feel free to leave your comments. I see that Ghanem says the idea of a semi-closed Super League is something that is not accepted in the football culture, which is something that Juan De Dios already alluded to, that infamous Monday when it was announced. So very interesting indeed. We have another topic here that I think is interesting to talk about, and it's the Diarra case. And you were talking to me about this last week, which I wasn't really familiar with the case, but after you talked about it, I understood the massive impact that this can have. So can you tell us a little bit about this case and why it could be so relevant if we understand it a little bit better?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this. This is the most important case in football industry right now. But before, I have to answer some of the comments here. One single comment. There's not going to be a Super League because the English clubs are not there. And the UK government has launched a law regulation of an independent regulatory body which is going to take care of football in England and Wales, because you know that Scotland is different, England and Wales. And in that particular law, they said that fans are going to have their say. Are we going to accept or not this? Non-official competition participation by English clubs are not going to be accepted. And if they do that, they can be ousted from the Premier League or the Championship or any of professional 4, professional 5 professional leagues. So I understand you want more money, but you need for that clubs, and you don't have the clubs. Let's come now to the real crucial point that we have right now. The Diarra case on the 30th of April, so 2 months ago, and it passed like nothing. Everybody's talking about European Super League. The Diarra case is much more important. Diarra was a player, a French player, playing for Lokomotiv Moscow. And he left the club allegedly for some reasons, mostly some racism and so on, but he left. FIFA first, and then the Court of Return for Sport later on, and then the Federal Tribunal later on, has said, look, you left with a just cause, so you must pay an indemnity of 11 million. Stop. Then he was trying to sign with other clubs, and clubs were a bit, concerned. Should I pay or not the 11 million? So it would be a bit difficult for me to, at the end, no club was sanctioned to pay, so he was himself only the one to pay, and he played with 4 other clubs, but he launched a claim before, I think it was a court in Belgium, but I don't remember if it was in Brussels or in Liège, a court, I think it was Brussels, and then they asked for preliminary questions to the European Court of Justice, and the European Court of Justice, just on the 30th of April, one advocate general, which is the one giving his opinion for the court later on to decide, it will be at the end of this year or beginning of next year. Spusna, Polish advocate, the advocate general, one of the advocate general of the European Court of Justice, said that, well, this is not fine because you have an effect on the player's freedom of movement, because if he has to pay, so on. Frankly speaking, he missed everything. We're not talking about that. He said even, and a lot of professors later on followed him, it was not possible to get an ITC, International Transfer Certificate, because of this transfer sanction and so on. This is not that, this is untrue. Whenever you end your contract with or with a just cause, we are not saying that right now. ITC will never, 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 3 times I can say that, be forbidden by FIFA. They will always give the floor, and they will oblige the national federation to give, or the new association to give or the old one to give the ITC. So this is untrue. Secondly, it says that those sanctions are impeding the freedom of movement. Okay, we can share that. We can even say that maybe the sanction was too high and we have to change the system of compensation. That I would agree. But it seems from the way Spusnat has written his opinion that the system of transfer, the current system of transfer, is null and void. Not the system of transfer that might happen to exist after this, but the system of transfer right now. But my point is, what kind of transfer system do you have? And then some professors, some people are saying that we can change that and we can have, instead of years of contract of 5, 6, 7 years, depending on the country, you can have a freedom, or you can have 5 years maximum, depending, as I said, on the national law. Now have a 2 years contract, a 3 years contract only, and on 2 or 3 years, the first year, you can't end the contract. Wow. So if you have a just cause, you can't end the contract, and you're bound with the club by the club for 1 year, and then the second and third year, you have to do what? I mean, this is, sorry to say that, a bit stupid. What is going to be the path of this? Where are we going to drive? To a concrete wall and to crash our car. Why? If you don't pay, meaning that if you want to be free of movement and not to pay any compensation because you are free to do everything, then what's going to happen? Why signing a contract for 3 or for 2 years? There's no need for that. You sign a contract for 6 months or 1 season, 1 year, and then we'll see. That's the first thing. Players won't be happy with that because it will be much easier for the club to get rid of them. Why? Because the contract will be of 1 year or 1.5 or 2 years. No need. Secondly, why paying so much for players when they are going to be free to leave at any time? And the last but not least, why having grassroots players? Why? We have a grassroots player, 16 years old, we sign a contract of 3 years, and then the first year he can leave without any compensation. There's no need to have grassroots players, not at all. So this could be really, if you are an analyst of football and of the law, not only a professor, not only a lawyer, but somebody who is working like me in the two systems, as a professor and also as a lawyer in the practical side. This might be the end, not of transfer, but the end of the way football is known. Why? Because if you don't have to pay anything whenever you have a breach of contract with just cause, you don't have to pay anything because of Mr. Spruner said that this is going to impede the freedom of this profession. Then forget about that. Forget about having long contracts, forget about paying big salaries, and forget about being grassroots players. Because if you want a free market, then have a free market. But for the big players, the rest will be there. So I think that there was a huge mistake or the misunderstanding of what the ARA case was and is by Mr. Spruznat, and I hope the European Court of Justice, whenever delivering the decision at the end of this year or the beginning of next one, will be clever enough to understand that this is not the way. And we'll see. But this is very much crucial for the world of football.
Fantastic, really fascinating stuff. And for those that want to learn more, feel free to Google about this case because it is something very interesting. And of course, here we have just a limited time to discuss it with Juan De Dios, but something that could be very interesting to look at further. Now, the last point that I wanted to discuss tonight with you, Juan De Dios, around the current and future trends in football is something that we hear a lot recently in the media, and this is around the amount of matches being played and the match calendars being so full. And now we're seeing players unions like the PFA, other associations, FIFPro, starting to say, well, when is this going to stop? When are we going to look out for players? And can you tell us about this conflict, if we can call it that, between the governing bodies that are looking to bring in new tournaments and new competitions, and then those organizations that look out for the players that are saying, well, wait a minute, how much can we press these players and load them until we start seeing multiple injuries, which we've already begun to see. So where do we stand with that today, Juan De Dios?
Okay, this is the second more important of the football cases right now. Not only the match calendar, but how to protect players and how next steps are going to be decided whenever you have a calendar of a new competition. Are the syndicates allowed to sit down with FIFA, not only about the regulations that are in force right now, because they are sitting, FIFA is sitting whenever they have to change the regulation of the status and transfer of players, but not on the calendar, not on the new competition. So 3 syndicates, FIFPro Europe. FIFPro is the World Association of Football Players, but they are continental association, so the FIFPro Europe, plus the PFA from England, plus the LNFP from France. They have launched a claim, and they have already requested, and judge has sent 4 primary questions to the European Court of Justice. So we are now in the same case of GRA, but before any opinion of general advocate. So we'll see what's going on. I'm not going to be too much into this, but just 2 or 3 bullet points. 1, are the syndicates the one to be seated with UEFA or FIFA to decide the calendar of the new competition? What about the clubs? The one who are really having a contract with the players or the clubs, and the clubs are not claiming. And FIFPro Europe PFA and FFP are not claiming against the clubs. Why? The clubs have accepted. Next World Cup of clubs in the US in June and July next year, all the clubs have accepted because it's a lot of money for them. So you might say, yes, but it's a lot of matches too. Okay, right? But there's a contract there. Provided that you give enough holidays, enough weekly stop of training and playing, and if nothing is wrong with that, why stopping this? Of course, you might say, but there are too much matches. One possibility is to have less players playing with more players in the team, and so instead of having 11, 12, 15 players always the same playing, to have 30 players in the teams in order to have more players playing. That would be a solution, or could be a solution. Then also reducing the number of teams in the national competition, avoiding competition that are nonsense, and instead of going, clubs like Boca Juniors, River Plate, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, the one who are going to play the next World Cup, they are not going to play the World Cup plus after some friendly matches. In my opinion, they will replace the friendly matches for those official matches. And FIFPro and other syndicates have said nothing about when you are playing matches in Miami or in the States in August with 38 or 39 degrees. Nothing, because it's non-official match. So they can't go against the clubs because they are looking for money. Those clubs are playing competitions there, non-official competitions. I remember it's a competition like I don't know, how they call that, but several clubs are going to the States and are playing one against the other. It's a competition. Why they are not going against the club? Because the clubs are the one who are giving the money to the players. So they go to the weakest part. You may say, weak part, FIFA? Yes. In this particular case, I think is the weakest part. So again, as I said, this might be the other DRR case, and we'll see what the general advocate will say first, and then the court. But it's much interesting because it's another way to have the building of the pyramid, the football pyramid, crumble too. We'll see. Important cases are coming, important decisions are coming, and the future of football is there to be looked after. And I don't know if even people like the Diarra or like the syndicates are really looking to the future, or maybe just looking for the interest right now. You have to look to the future. I'm a guy that has always looked to the future, and this is something that maybe the claimants are not looking after and for.
Excellent. Again, we have limited time. We would love to dive deeper into a lot of these subjects, but for you guys, we wanted to give you as much as we could compressed into this hour. Now, the last topic that we have here tonight is around, how to get started into this industry. And we won't cover all the topics here because we're getting close to the end here. But Juan De Dios, can you tell us a little bit about what your advice would be for those that are listening tonight that are thinking, I want to work in football, I want to get involved in this industry, but I'm not sure how to get started. I don't know how I can create a pathway for myself. So what would be your advice? What would you recommend for those that are in that situation today?
I will try to just make a cocktail of the three of them. Starting a career, networking, and education. I think that the three of them are linked. Precisely are linked. So how to start? The first thing, really, frankly speaking, and I'm a professor in more than 30 masters and seminars around the world, you need to have education. You need to be on the top level. Now, for instance, my people coming here, the interns coming here, 90% of them are afterwards going to a place, a sports body, a club, an agency, etc. All of them are working, all of them. Why? First, because they've been educated. On a master X or Y, I'm not going to name any master. Well, I have my own master, but I'm not going to say that. Everyone who wants to look at my master or to look at my career, they just have to go to my Instagram. I will just write the Instagram in a moment. So first, education. And once you have education, you have networking. Wow. Why? Because you're going to have 25, 30, or 15 well-educated guys and ladies with you. And this is the starting point of your networking, which will grow whenever you have one guy or one lady from Serbia, and then you going to be with her or him in Serbia, and you're going to meet other people from Serbia, not from the master, from other positions. So networking. Education gives you networking. And then, whenever you have education, networking, you can sometimes choose, or sometimes you're chosen. You are not sure to be chosen, and you're not sure to choose yourself. Life is coming like that. You know, one day you have a client in football, and then next time you have another client, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. So you need to be prepared to open your eyes and your mind to any kind of career into the football industry. It could be anything, depending, of course, of your knowledge and of your degree. So of course, you're not the same as a lawyer than an MBA, etc. So, but look for everything. Don't just look for big clubs or big federations. You can start from me. I started from the futsal federation of my region, Valencia. So you can start from that, and then you will grow. Yes or yes. How do you grow? The basics. I'm not going to invent anything. The basic. Honesty, working hard, professionalism, and to be an adventurer. Always. To look for adventures. To look for something else, for something different. Not rely on, well, I'm fine now, so I'm going to keep here, this position, or this is too difficult, I'm not going to that. I'm coming back to the banking system instead of the football system. No way. You have to do something else. So honesty, professionalism, working hard, and be adventurous. This is something that everyone, you go to the coaching, and the coaching will say that. I'm not a coach, but this is experience. You need to go for that. Education means to networking, and then the career.
Fantastic. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's about understanding how the industry works, adding value. And then I like what you said about being adventurous, because in this day and age, you have to be different. You have to be daring. You have to be brave and go for the opportunities, because they're not going to be, waiting for you. You have to go and grab them. And that's what we tell our students at SBI, that it's not just about gaining an education. That's part of it, but it's also about what you do with it and how you add value to the market, to the people you connect with. So everything you said resonates very clearly with us and our vision and our mission that we have at SBI. And, we'd love to hear more about your program. I was looking into it, and I saw that you have an institute. I think it's called Orey. Is it named after Pelé?
After Pelé, yes. I have a picture here signed by Pelé. So yes, is after Pelé. And is not an institute like yours. It's a law institute. We are telling everyone that we are not a management institute. We are going just to go for the sports law master, a sports law master. But everything will be my time. I will just give now the details of Instagram.
Yes, be sure to follow Juan De Dios and him on the different platforms, because as I said, always great to see and learn from those that have been involved in the industry for so many years.
You can see, Diego, that we have 5 minutes to end, and just on time. I've tried to just
You've been more than the Formula One drivers, just perfectly timed for the hour that we had.
For the questioning now, for the questioning.
For the question, exactly. So, feel free to type in your questions. We do have some time, not much, but a little bit of time to answer some of your questions. And, we would love to answer a few of them. So let me see what we have here. We have one from Mark Toison, and he says, "Thank you for today. I'm a student based in England. You mentioned the proposed independent regulator in football that will govern in England and Wales. What is the view of these developments on the rest of the continent? Will we see more sporting regulators around Europe, in your opinion?"
Well, it's a very, very interesting question. And you are an Englishman, so you know that the Englishman or England is so different from the rest of Europe. You have done the Brexit, and I think that this is a particular. You are the country where football, modern football, Chinese said that is in China, but modern football was exist or started. So what they want with the independent body is to protect that football. And I don't see right now any other country protecting the same way as England has protected that. And why? Because nobody was in Italy or in Spain going to the streets to protect the rights of Real Madrid fans willing to play against Rayo Vallecano or something like that. No one Barcelona going to play against Espanyol. No one in Milano or in Torino against Rome or Naples. England was very much different and specific on that. And the answer to that claim by the fans of football is that the government has said, okay, we're going to protect you. You fans, you football. Even for the change of a logo of a club, we have to pass to this body. So it's not going to be easy at all. But I think this exception is the English exception.
Excellent, excellent. We have another question here coming in. Let me just have a read here from Quadri Adibesi. He says, "Thanks for the quick insight. I was late today, sorry. My question would be, how do we help out our players here in Africa and Lagos, Nigeria, get the best preparation mentality for what's out there?" So
Africa for the last 30 years was expected to be the new football. And frankly speaking, when you had countries going to World Cup and demolish by European and South American teams, is not anymore the case. Not anymore. Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, they have changed the mentality. And I see, Morocco, the last World Cup, the mentality has changed. And why the mentality has changed? Because there are a lot of coaches that are coming there, a lot of players going abroad, and this interaction between South America, Europe, and Africa has changed the mentality. Not yet everything, of course. I'm sorry to say that it's still a long distance run to go, but from the last 15, 20 years, you can see a difference. I was in Senegal just 2 months ago, during a lecture in the Master of FIFA. I go against FIFA in some cases, but they invite me to lecture anyway. And I was there and I was surprised. 100 young people there willing to understand that. Coaches, former players, the coach of the national team, everyone was willing to understand things, legal things, and there were no lawyers, 1 or 2 only. So I think that there's a change of mentality, really, change of mentality in African football. I've been in Kenya, I've been in Rwanda, and I see that. I see the need of knowledge, not only in footballing, so in the very same football, but also in managing, in the law, in everything. So I'm very much sure that Africa will be this time the next one. Anyway, there's a mistake. Maybe there's not such a Saudi Arabia government was pushing. Maybe one or two countries there might have the same dream that they have in Saudi Arabia, and to put some money, Nigeria, there's a lot of money there, maybe to change the way in the clubs. But first thing, you need to be educated, you to go and enter the bodies, national bodies, clubs, to change the way they are, because it lacks of some professionalism. You need to be there, as I said at the beginning. You are the one to change that. Don't ask for other people to change that. We are helping. Of course, I'm going there, back and forth, but you are the one to change. I, as a football fan, I need you to be there to change.
Excellent. Maybe we have one more question. Time for one more question. So we'll
two more. Yeah.
We have a couple more. Okay, great. So Mohammed Al-Amir says, what are your thoughts on financial fair play? Should clubs be constrained financially? Great question. A lot of times people, especially when we talk about Manchester City, there's this big debate. So what are your thoughts?
Wow, I need a couple of hours just to discuss that. Really, a couple of hours. It's much difficult. Basically, I'm for that, for the control, but not for a tight control, because sometimes you are just impeding the clubs to leave. We have to control, we have to see if they are following the rules, but at the meantime, you can't just oust a club because they have failed to pay the tax. It's a case that I had, Malaga, years ago. They were quarter-finalists of the Champions League, and the year after did not compete. They were sanctioned for 2 years. I won 1 or 2 years, so only 1 year, but Malaga was then relegated second and third division in Spain. But they impeded the club to go, and they were qualified to the Europa League of that second year, because there was some issue with the tax authorities. But you know what we had? We had agreements with tax authorities. And whenever we sold Cazorla to Arsenal, they went for the money, and half of the money was paid already. So UEFA should be a bit more open-minded, and you can't sanction when you don't have that much breaking of the financial fair play. Now financial fair play changed a bit after the COVID, because of the COVID itself, but after the COVID, it's not so tough, so tight. So I'm for the financial fair play, but let's say that they have to be a bit more concerned about what sanctions are going to be to the clubs or be made to the club, because sometimes it's too much, really too much.
Fantastic. There's so many questions. We'd love to answer all of them, but to be respectful of everyone's time tonight, we'll probably finish off with one more. And it's very tough. There's so many great questions, so apologies for not being able to get all of them. But Davide De Rosa says, do you think that Saudi Arabian Football League can have a financial breakdown, as we saw in Chinese football about 10 years ago? So sometimes there's a big comparison. Do you think there's some similarities, or is there a more sustainable project behind Saudi Arabian football in your view?
I think I explained that already. And what I can say is that football in China, I was the lawyer of 5 or 6 clubs in China. I went 20 times to China in 20 years ago. It was just based on the money of the owner of the club, Shanghai Shenhua, Wuhan Beijing, etc. So they were there, and the money was floating, and sometimes too much money. There was one champion only, so you were spending 40 million for a player, 20 million for another player. I mean, contracts, labor contracts, not the transfer. Labor contract of 20, 25, 30, 40 million. And then one day the government said, it's impossible. We have to control. And then they diminish up to 6 million transfer only, and only if you are not in red numbers. And this is completely different. this comes from the top, from the government, from the Ministry of Sport, and the control is from the top. So I think it's totally different, and in my opinion, my humble opinion, it won't be the same as in China at all.
Fantastic. Just a couple of things before we wrap it up. Number one, I'd encourage you to go to our Instagram profile, SBI Barcelona, altogether, SBI Barcelona. Give us a follow. There's a post on this webinar where we have Juan De Dios, and put in your comment, tag yourselves with your Instagram handle. We'll follow you, and that way we make sure that you are up to date on everything we do moving forward with SBI webinars. That's one thing. So make sure to go to SBI Barcelona on our Instagram, follow us, and tag yourselves in the comments of the post with Juan De Dios and his webinar. We'll make sure to follow you back and keep you engaged.
And one
So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, just a quick announcement. We're super proud to say that Juan De Dios will be lecturing with us during the next academic year in 2024-25 for our Master in Football Business and Management. This is our program that we run every year around the business of football, and we're very excited to have Juan De Dios. Obviously, tonight we compressed everything into an hour, but it's a master's program.
One last point. I saw a lot of questions that have not been answered. So
Yes.
my advice to people, it's I'm going to send them, or they already had my Instagram. You can ask the question through Instagram, and I will answer the question. Or I can answer through Instagram, or can answer through the email. But there are some people asking me for a book to understand the legal management of football and so on. I can answer that, but not now because I have to leave. I'm so sorry. But I will definitely answer anyone who is going to my Instagram and will ask the question. I will be much happy to give. I don't know, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not on Monday, because I have tomorrow to leave to Madrid. On Monday, I have a hearing of CAS. So it will be a bit difficult, but let's say that within 4 or 5, 6 days, everyone will have an answer.
Fantastic. So let me just mention Juan De Dios Instagram, which is Ruiz Huerta Crespo. So
yeah, I put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. So you guys already have it in the chat. Make sure to follow Juan De Dios on Instagram as well. And as he said, it'll be great to be able to engage a little bit further. But we're going to have him here. We're going to have him at SBI, and we're super excited and proud to have him as part of our guest speaker lineup in our next edition of the Masters program. With that, we will wrap up tonight. I'm going to stick around a little bit longer. If you guys want to learn more about what we do with our Masters program, I'll be sticking around for another 10-15 minutes. I know Juan De Dios has to leave. He's got other commitments with his busy schedule. So Juan De Dios, at this point, I'll take a moment to just thank you again for your time, for your insights. We very much enjoyed the conversation with you. We compressed a lot in an hour. And it was very nice to have different insights on a lot of topics which leave us with taste and thirst for more. So we're going to have that when we have you here in our Masters program.
Thank you very much, Diego. I'm so sorry that it was just 1 hour and I couldn't develop all and every of the topics that would have needed to be developed. But it is what it is. It's just a short shot. And then, of course, they can ask me questions, and of course they can also be in your Master in Football Business and Management. I will be delighted to answer then with much more hours questions, and of course to lecture about that. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much, Diego, and see you next time, hopefully soon.
Thank you, Juan De Dios. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So with that, we wrap up the webinar for tonight. But as I said, I will be sticking around here for some additional questions. Right. So